All right, we're back. Standing watch with Deputy Nolen. We just discussed the Special Olympics Charity Bass Fishing Tournament, and now we've got a couple other things going on. I understand you had a very good turnout at the active shooter event at the Franklin Center recently, right?
So good, Carl, that we've had to put another one together quickly. The demand for this has been, I think, greater than we even anticipated.
And unfortunately, there's a reason for that.
It is tragic. But I want to take your listeners back just a little bit to say 2 years ago. Sheriff Overton found some training for a couple of our officers to go into the churches and discuss with pastors, with deacon boards, with church leaders, the elements involved in protecting the church. What can you do? And some of this was a walk through of the church, a walk outside on the curtilage, and looking at things like lighting, trimming your bushes low, how are your doors to your church entrance and exit sets. Make sure that you're not locking them and violating fire code, or try to get as many doors with push bars and things like that, so that when service starts you can lock them from preventing people from having, I think one church I heard had 15 entrance and exit doors. And that's too many. That's too many. Once your service starts, one of the things that...
Fortunately, it's a different time now.
Right. Once of the things our trained officers talk about is, once service starts, lock some of these doors. You don't need to have to keep out. No. We highly encourage a church to look together at putting together a security team. But anyway, Sheriff Overton was at the forefront of that. He had the foresight to say, we started seeing some church shooting events, and so it was. I've always looked at it like this: you can either turn your head, put your head in the sand, and do nothing, or you can be proactive and you can go out as the law enforcement leader of your county. Your sheriff can have 2 or 3 choices he can make. Thankfully, ours is proactive.
You have to think of it in a different way now.
Sure.
It just is.
You don't like to talk about it. You don't like to put active shooter or gunman or something.
That word,
when you're talking about a church. But so that takes our listeners up to where we are here in the last few months. The sheriff found other training out there that discusses a little more in detail. Okay, so you're in church. This is a congregation, church leaders and so forth. They can have discussions about security teams and protecting the congregation the best they can. There's some things in these training sessions that the congregation learns that they can do. I was just at one last night for a church here in our county. We're doing 2 or 3 a month now. And so if you're listening and you're part of a church and you want your pastor to contact us, we're going to give you some numbers again. They're the ones you heard for the fishing tournament. We'll give you some numbers again at the end of the program here. But you can call us and have your pastor call us, and we'll set up a church training for you. But moving forward, the sheriff found other training available for if a husband and their spouse or wife and their spouse are out in public. Carl, we asked the question, if you're in a restaurant and you hear that telltale pop sound, what do you do? What do you do?
I mean, you're going to be frozen for a little bit.
Normally, it's something you have to...
What is that?
Yeah, something you have to think about.
Think about what it is.
Right. Theater, grocery store, shopping mall.
Any place where large people and
Absolutely.
people are congregating.
Absolutely. So he found training that is designated to the family, and it could be just one of you out in public that hears something. What do you do? It's called Citizen Response to an Active Shooter Event. The acronym is CRASE. I think outside of law enforcement, NASA probably uses more acronyms than we do. We are an acronym-driven organization, but it's called CRASE, Citizens Response to an Active Shooter Event. We had one in November of last year. Pre-registration filled quickly. We had one a few weeks ago that pre-registration filled way before the class date. So Sheriff Overton wanted to bring another one because of demand. Now, the sheriff makes these free to the public. So the only requirement is, and we hope our listeners still have the pens and paper ready, is you must pre-register. And it's not done at the sheriff's office. We partner with our Franklin Center at 50 Claiborne Avenue in Rocky Mount, basically behind the library. because they're the ones that know how many seats are available on a daily basis. They know. So they want to do the pre-registration so they can have an accurate count. If we do it, we may still be pre-registering it, and they say, hey, you're full, you're 20 over. And we would have to call people back and say, hey, I'm sorry, but we didn't know. So the Franklin Center is where you will pre-register for this next upcoming CRASE event. It is March the 28th. That is a Wednesday, I believe.
Okay.
It's 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, Sheriff Overton is making it free to the public. It's at the Franklin Center, 50 Claiborne Avenue, as we said. And you must pre-register by calling 483-0179. That's the phone number at the Franklin Center, obviously. 483-0179. Seating is limited. And if you want to be a part of this, I have received, out of the 100 plus that were there several weeks ago, I have received somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 comments to me personally. Some are on our website page. Some were sent to us by email. There is no negative comment in the bunch. We had a question, and I think it's a good question, and I think I'd like to address it.
Okay.
It says, what is the youngest person that can come? Do you have an age limit? No, we don't have an age limit, but we want everybody to remember, if you need to bring a child, be respectful of all the others there that are there to glean information. And we would request that if a child comes, that they're old enough to comprehend the information.
And
right.
sit still.
Yeah. Just comprehend the information, understand what we're talking about in the subject matter. I believe that I don't think the person that sent us the email is thinking about bringing a 3-year-old.
No.
I think the question was, is a 12 or 13-year-old child too young? In our opinion, no. As long as you know your child, you know if they understand what this is and what this is about. So, it's free to the public. Wednesday, March 28th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pre-register at the Franklin Center. The number there is 483-0179.
And I assume probably there'll be more this year as needed.
We will be on the forefront of this as long as there is demand from the residents of our county.
Okay. I also want to bring it before you have to go. I just saw in my mail pop up about accreditation, which I guess the Sheriff's Department has completed.
We have bought into accreditation process. It's a promise that Sheriff Overton made in his first campaign. A lot of times we're asked, what is the advantage of the Sheriff's Office being accredited? Well, the biggest advantage is it brings a professionalism, an accountability, an honesty, and an integrity package to the Office of the Sheriff. We are always asked by attorneys and some outside entities to provide FOIA requests for accident reports, police reports, things like that. One of the pieces of accreditation is us being as accurate and as spot on with our reporting as we could be. It puts everything we do under a glass, under a microscope, where we have everything in the open that we're allowed to.
So anyone coming in can say that this is done properly.
Well,
it's right there.
and that's what the accreditation auditors do. They come in. There are many points of accreditation, standards we call them. They're in the hundreds that we have to meet each and every standard. And these standards apply to our courthouse division, our security at the courthouse division, our jail division, our patrol division, our investigation division, our drug and narcotic team division, our canine division. Every division we have has accreditation standard points that have to be met. In the state of Virginia, counting sheriff's offices, town police departments, and city police departments, Carl, I believe we have somewhere over 350 of these law enforcement agencies. When we were first accredited several years ago, we were the 40th. So it's not something that is passed and handed out with ease.
Right.
Today, moving 5-6 years in the future, there's only 48. There are 2 that are right now under inspection that hopefully 2 more agencies this year will become fully accredited through the state of Virginia. That'll make 50 out of 350 plus.
Yeah.
So I think our listeners can see this is not something that is just rubber stamped by the state and say, oh, you're accredited, you're a nice group of people. We go through a rigorous audit process. They come in on the first time and tell you what you have to do, because we're all new to it. And they say, this is what you must do, and I'm telling you, it's overwhelming. So once that is completed, then every 4 years you're re-accredited. And so we went through recently a re-accreditation,
Okay.
where we knew what was coming.
Okay, so you knew what to prep for.
Right, but things change.
Right. Oh, rules and standards change. Of course.
Rules and standards change. And so Captain Philip Young with our Sheriff's Office is our accreditation manager.
He's got to get together with somebody else in the state level who decides, okay, here's the changes.
Right, but internally, inside our department, everyone had to pitch in, because if you are, everyone is a part
Right.
of the Sheriff's Office, and you are a part of a subdivision
Right.
inside the Sheriff's Office. And everyone had to participate in making sure that their personal record keeping and their personal vehicles and their personal attire and everything met all of these standards. So when we say the Sheriff's Office was re-accredited, technically every member of that department was re-accredited.
Wow.
That's what it has to be.
Okay, great. Okay, so
Good
what
stuff.
can we expect next month?
Well, we will be back next month, and we will be talking about things like the progression of the fishing tournament, where we are on it. We'll have to see if there's any more CRASE events coming up. It's public driven, of course, and we'll see how that works. We may have some news about some things like maybe a golf tournament coming up to raise money. We want to be a part of the community. We partner with the Smith Mountain Lake Chamber of Commerce, the Regional Chamber of Commerce. Our business partnerships are immense in this county in the last 2 years. And so we want to be a part of what they're a part of. We'll have things coming up like prescription drug take-back is just around the corner. It's not too early to be even thinking about. Our National Night Out will be the first Tuesday in August. That will be a huge night that we showcase the Sheriff's Office. And we'll be talking Operation Christmas Tree in the fall.
Oh my goodness.
All
Christmas
that
coming around already.
It'll be here before you know it. But
Okay.
Carl, we thank you. We thank everybody here at WITI. Sheriff Overton appreciates the opportunity for us to come and talk about what good things are going on at the office of the sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.